Hello, everybody. Welcome to Dirt Nap City. I'm Alex. I'm here with my friend Kelly. Hey, Kelly, what's up?
Hey, Alex. Good to see you, man. It's a little dreary outside, but I'm feeling warm and fuzzy inside.
It occurred to me that all of the people that we're picking are icons of the 20th century. In order to be interesting and dead, basically you would have had to be interesting at this point pretty much in the 20th century, right?
Yeah.
And today I've got a great 20th century American story for you.
Oh, I love the 20th century. After the 21st century, it's my second favorite.
It's the American century. You know, you think about all that America contributed to the world in the 20th century. It's our century, man.
It's true.
When we go to Dirt Nap City, it won't seem that way. We will have spent most of our life in the 21st century, just a little bit in the 20th century. But to me, this is the American century. It's our century. And I love to hear about people from the 20th century. So today I'm going to tell you a story about immigration, 2 world wars, Great Depression, capitalism, the American dream. You ready?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right. Well, the person I've chosen for you today was born in 1897 in Piacenza, Italy.
Ah, okay.
But I said this was an American story, didn't I?
Well,
I also said this was a story of immigration.
Yes.
He died in 1985.
Wow. That was a long life.
Yeah, exactly. That's the year I moved. I moved from Michigan to Texas and met you in 1985.
1985, actually. That's right.
I'm not sure if we talked about this person passing away at all during 1985.
But we both knew who he was.
That would have been cool if we did, and this is the second time we talked about it.
Yeah. What a reunion.
I will give you his name first, just like I did in the John Holland episode.
Okay.
Because you might not know him by his name. Or you might know him by his name. His name was Ettore Boiardi.
Ettore, is this Chef Boyardee?
Yeah. Chef Boyardee.
Wow.
Ettore Boiardi.
Boyardee. Okay, so it's not boy, B-O-Y-R-D.
He said that because he didn't think that people could pronounce his name, and he was right. His name was actually spelled Boiardi.
Boiardi.
And his name, Ettore, he anglicized into Hector. So he was Hector Boiardi to us, but his name was Ettore Boiardi.
Wow.
And this guy brought Italian food to America.
Wow.
1 can at a time.
1 can at a time. Man, and everybody, I don't meet very many people that don't like Italian food. Generally pastas and fish and, fresh, what's the stuff? Calamari. Everybody loves that stuff.
Now, but back then, it was a fairly exotic thing to eat. There wasn't a lot of Italian food coming before Italian immigrants came. And even when Italian immigrants came, a lot of them weren't opening restaurants and weren't allowed to open restaurants probably. And they had to do very low level types of jobs. So it wasn't something that somebody said, oh, good, this guy's here to bring us Italian food. It was kind of an exotic food in the U.S. back then.
Wow.
So this guy, he was born a chef, man. They say that he actually, the rumor is that he used a wire whisk as a rattle when he was a baby.
Okay. Just laying there in bed, probably teething on it as well, right? Because it was nice and cool.
Yeah. And by age 11, he was actually a chef's apprentice, which I don't know if you've met very many 11-year-olds.
But that seems like a stretch.
I mean, just having them in the kitchen is risky. And he was a chef's apprentice by the time he was 11.
Okay.
And before he was 16, he was taking jobs in London and Paris, working in restaurants. Just amazing to me, the kind of things that back in the day that people would do before they're 16 years old.
And you said what city he was born in Italy. Remind me the city.
Piacenza.
Do you know is that northern or southern Italy?
I think it was southern Italy. but I'm
Okay,
not
because
sure.
I think the food style is a little different.
It is, yeah. Based on the kind of food he was serving, yeah, I don't think it was northern, but um, we'll we'll um, we'll check that.
Okay.
So his brother was already in the U.S. And when he was 16, when Hector was 16, he came to Ellis Island to join his brother, who was already working at the Plaza Hotel in New
Okay.
York.
Yeah.
And he went and worked. And this is kind of a fast track. This guy, he's 16 years old. He worked his way up to head chef at the Plaza Hotel. He's 16 years old. The next year, he's 17. Woodrow Wilson enjoyed the Plaza Hotel. He enjoyed this guy's food and asked him to. He was president. He asked him to cater his wedding.
Wow.
17 years old, he's catering the president's wedding, and you can imagine from then on, you kind of got a pass to do a lot of things. You're well
Yeah.
known.
Yeah. Well, and so just quick question on Woodrow Wilson. He got married while he was in office?
Mm. I might have to fact check that too.
Because it seems like, yeah, okay. But all right. Woodrow Wilson paid attention to him. Let's maybe check that real quick.
Yeah, I'm checking that right now. It's good. It's good. Woodrow Wilson.
Oh, no, wait. I got it right here. Woodrow Wilson marries Edith Boiling Galt on December 18th, 1915. President Woodrow Wilson marries Edith Galt in Washington, D.C. The bride was 43 and the groom was 59. Second marriage for Wilson, whose wife had died.
And he was the president at the time?
It says President Woodrow Wilson, yeah.
All right. Well, there you go. Yeah, more power to him. It's strange enough to have a president get married in office. Even stranger that he's asking a 17-year-old kid to cater the wedding.
Right. Yeah. No, yeah, according to the History Channel, history.com actually says it here. So
1915, right?
yeah, 1915, December
And
18th.
Boiardi was born in 1897. So yeah, he's 17, 18 years old.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Right on.
Because he had this presidential hookup, he then, during World War One, when the soldiers came back, they had a big reception at the White House, a homecoming reception for the soldiers. 2,000 World War One soldiers came, and he had Boiardi supervise the homecoming meal for them. So this is a guy that's being noticed and kind of making a lot of friends with influential people.
Wow. He was the Guy Fieri. How do you say his name?
Guy Fieri?
Guy Fieri of the time.
But I still don't even think. Yeah, I mean, I was going to say
celebrity chef is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I was about to say I don't think a president would do that, but then I remembered the Super Bowl party for that Trump threw with the McDonald's and
right, so, Big Macs and McRibs.
Yeah. So this guy, Chef Boyardee, opened his first restaurant actually in Cleveland, Ohio. I wish it was still there, Kelly, because we're about to go to Cleveland.
That's
next
right.
year.
That's right. Maybe we can find the location,
like a plaque or something. Yeah. Il Giardino d'Italia, the Italian garden,
and
later
became the Olive Garden.
Yeah, I wish it was the Olive Garden. So he opened that in 1924. And the thing about this place, and it was like the only Italian restaurant in town, and people were always, they loved his spaghetti sauce. And they were always asking for samples of his spaghetti sauce. So he would take milk bottles. Remember, they had milk bottles back then. He would wash out the milk bottles and fill it with sauce and give to people on their way out if they asked for it.
Here, sir, will you fill this with sauce?
And it was Chef Boyardee sauce. That's the funny part.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, things were going well for our guy. And he probably could have done that forever. Just owning a restaurant, the best Italian restaurant in Cleveland, filling milk bottles with sauce. That would have been great. In 1927, he met the Wieners, the owners of a local grocery chain. And they helped say, you don't have to fill milk bottles. We can help you with a canning process So they hooked him up with some canning people, and then they hooked him up with they were in a national network of grocery stores, and he started selling his sauce nationwide. And in fact, in 1928, they had to open a factory to make. There was so much demand for this that they had to open a proper factory.
This was just spaghetti sauce initially.
Initially, it was just spaghetti sauce, and then he came up with an idea. He said, think about what was going on at this time, right? 1927, 1928. So imagine Great Depression time. There's not a lot of people going to restaurants now, but there's a lot of people hurting that can't buy food. He said, what I'll do is I'll figure out a product that's a dinner for three that could be made in less than 15 minutes for 28 cents. Perfect for the Great Depression. So he packaged together this thing. Now, there was no package. There was no Blue Apron. Shout out to Blue Apron if you want to sponsor us. I use your product very faithfully.
Or Chef Boyardee if you want to sponsor us.
Sure. So this product, canister of Parmesan cheese, a box of spaghetti, a jar of sauce, and then cellophane wrapped it together.
Oh, wow.
28 cents. Family of three, making it in 15 minutes. Imagine at the time. Was it delivered,
or was this something you bought at the store?
In the grocery store.
Okay.
So that was the product. Rather than just the sauce, it was a whole packaged meal. At the time, there were no packaged meals.
Nobody was doing this.
Nobody was doing this. And that became so popular that he was actually the largest importer of Parmesan cheese in the world.
Wow. That's saying something.
By 1938, they moved all their production to Pennsylvania, where it still is, and they even grew their own mushrooms on the factory grounds because one of the sauces had mushrooms in it.
So just quick question on that: is Chef Boyardee? I guess it started as an independent company, right? The way you're describing it. Is it still an independent company, or is it owned by Kraft or some other big conglomerate?
Yeah. He actually sold it, just like Colonel Sanders, around the same time too. Back when the man was taking advantage of these people like that, they would, he sold it for about the same amount of money too, about $6 million.
Wow.
Yeah.
What year was that? Did he sell it?
And it was 19. Actually, it was before that. It was 1946.
So $6 million in 1946. That was some money.
But I'll tell you why he sold it. He wasn't really. He was 48 years old back then. He changed his name to Boyardee, BOY-AR-DEE, because people couldn't pronounce it. And what a genius move at the time. If that's what's holding people back from buying your stuff, just make it real simple. He put his picture on there. I don't know if you remember him growing up, but he did commercials all the way up until like 1979.
I don't remember any commercials. I remember his picture on the label, but I don't remember commercials.
And it still is. And you could picture him right now. You close your eyes, you could picture Chef Boyardee.
Yeah,
right?
He's kind of got his head sideways and he's smiling. And I think
he's got the mustache.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's holding the whisk.
I feel like he was holding something. He was holding, or maybe it was a rolling pin.
Maybe. He said that his daughter said that everyone is proud of their family name, but sacrifices are necessary for progress. That's what he said to his daughter. And it's really not. It's not like he changed his name. He just changed it to a phonetic spelling to the American consumers that weren't used to how to say an Italian name. These days, you probably wouldn't do that, but at the time, it made it real simple.
I just searched for a picture of him, and I found a mashup with Chef Boyardee and SpongeBob SquarePants.
Okay, well,
it was some sort of. It wasn't a mashup. It was some sort of product where Chef Boyardee. Oh, the noodles are shaped like SpongeBob.
Yeah, and we'll get to the licensing aspect of that too, which is also the American story. So right now we've covered immigration, we've covered the First World War, the Great Depression. Second World War comes, and he was supplying troops during World War II with his products. In fact, he was awarded the Gold Star of Excellence for supplying those troops. The company ran 24 hours a day. The factory ran 24 hours a day. They had 5,000 employees, and they were making 250,000 cans a day
A
at the height
day?
of the
So
height of World War II.
So in 4 days, they're making 1 million cans of
Yeah.
spaghetti.
But when you think about it, pretty much every able-bodied man was fighting the war.
So was at this time, do you know, were they making just the pasta sauce, or were they making like the canned spaghetti?
I'm imagine it was a can, like rations.
Okay.
That it was a can, probably of raviolis, maybe.
Yeah.
That
The
you would
raviolis.
just heat up and put your fork in there and eat it right out of the can. But imagine how popular. You're basically feeding every person who's at war. That's their staple. Well, after the war ended, they've got this 5,000 employee company making 250,000 cans a day. He had to either sell the company or lay everybody off.
Because they couldn't sustain.
I mean, yeah, you don't have that kind of demand when the war is over.
Yeah.
And he couldn't lay people off. It really bothered him to lay people off. So he sold his company to American Home Foods in 1946 for $6 million, which is the exact amount, I think, that Colonel Sanders sold KFC to in the 60s, though.
No. Colonel Sanders was like 2.9 or something. I remember it being less.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
All right, we'll have to go back and listen to that episode for the exact amount.
But no, I think it was like less than half of what Chef Boyardee got.
Chef Boyardee had also invested in steel mills during the Korean War, at the beginning of the Korean War, and I guess he lost his shirt on that. So he was cash poor.
He needed the money.
He needed the money. After he sold it, the company became the leading canned food and bread in the U.S. But like Colonel Sanders, he continued to be in the commercials until 1979 and serve as their spokesperson. Unlike Colonel Sanders, he didn't trash the flavor.
He didn't say that. He didn't say the gravy tasted like wallpaper paste.
He did not. By 1985, it was doing the year he died. Chef Boyardee was doing $500 million a year in sales.
Wow!
So that's he got to see that. He got to see the company grow that big, and it was bought by ConAgra in 2000. So American Home Foods doesn't own it anymore. It's ConAgra. They still use his picture. And they still make it in Milton, Pennsylvania. The factory, the original location of Milton, Pennsylvania, is still where they make that stuff.
Wow!
Basically, has six products, and then lots of variations of these things. You got your spaghetti and meatballs, the meat lovers pasta, the mini ravioli, beefaroni,
Beefaroni,
and lasagna. Now, you might know beefaroni. You might have you might remember a Seinfeld episode where they have the hansom cab, where Kramer's driving the hansom cab and the horse eats beefarino. Do you remember that?
Was that a takeoff on beefaroni?
Well, they tried to use beefaroni, and it was the only time on Seinfeld's run that a product asked them to not use their. They had to run it by, NBC and Chef Boyardee said, please don't do that. Because if you remember the story, the horse ate it and got diarrhea. And
I don't think I ever saw that one, but that sounds comedy ensued.
Yeah, exactly. So they changed it to beefarino in the script, which actually is a funnier name than beefaroni.
Yeah.
But yeah, so those are basically 6 products. You might notice something I didn't say in there was SpaghettiOs.
I was going to ask about SpaghettiOs.
That's not Chef Boyardee. That's Franco-American.
Franco-American. Yes.
So I don't know if you got those confused. I couldn't remember SpaghettiOs or Raviolios, but that's not a Chef Boyardee product.
Okay. Well, good to know. But I ate a lot of SpaghettiOs growing up, and I remember my mom would boil a hot dog and then cut it up and put it in the SpaghettiOs. So it was like a cut up hot dog, and SpaghettiOs was a big thing for us.
So my wife is an Italian American and was forbidden from eating Chef Boyardee or SpaghettiOs. Weren't allowed to have it and didn't have it until college.
I wonder if this will be her first episode to listen to, since we're talking about Chef Boyardee.
I think she's forbidden from listening to this episode.
That's right.
But those were their 6 basic products. But let me tell you, man, they have a lot of discontinued products that I'd like to share with you.
Yeah, let's hear.
There was something called beefagetti. Now, at this point, I think that this is probably in the 80s when this is American home foods. Chef Boyardee's long gone, and the consultants or the marketing people at this company just got to I don't know if they didn't care or if they were just bad at their jobs, but some of these names, man. Cheesy Nacho Twistaroni. Cheeseburger Max with 2 X's. That's so 80s, right?
Yeah.
Chili Cheese Dog Twistaroni.
Twistaroni.
Kickin' Sloppy Joe.
Oh, I like
Pasta
that.
Pasta Fazoo with
okay.
like animal shapes.
Like a kazoo, but fuzzy.
No, like pasta fazoo. Pasta fazool. Fagioli is a thing. They call it pasta fazool. Sir Chomps-a-Lot bite-sized cheese ravioli. Who's Sir Chomps-a-Lot?
Sounds like a character on The Simpsons.
But here's my favorite. They had a product they introduced. It was to be eaten kind of like, you have your Lunchables, right?
Yep.
Things that you could put in a kid's lunch. I don't know if this came before or after Lunchables, but this name to me is inexcusable. Forkables. They actually had a product called Forkables. As if this food is forkable. Is this food forkable? No, that's not forkable. Give me that forkable food. Sports forkables.
I was about to ask, what about sporkable?
You know what I didn't say in the Colonel Sanders episode? I think they invented the spork.
That KFC did?
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah,
I do associate sporks with KFC because I remember the little mashed potatoes and gravy would have it, but then
you'd have to be able to eat the corn to stab the corn too. Yeah. The thing that Chef Boyardee did really, I don't know if you say well, because they probably went overboard, was the licensing. That they were really marketing to children. So they had licenses with Pac-Man and the Smurfs and Spider-Man and SpongeBob, as you pointed out already, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They had tic-tac-toe pasta shapes. They had Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle pasta shapes with mini meatballs. Anything that you could license, they would try to make a pasta mold out of it and have it swimming in that sauce.
So I think there's one that you forgot or didn't have on your list that I'm curious about. Do you remember ABCs and 1-2-3s?
Yeah. No. So ABCs and 1-2-3s.
Yeah, I found a picture of it with Chef Boyardee on it.
Okay. And that's real. You could make love messages to people. You could do your math homework. I don't know. Did you used to partake in ABCs and winter? You just used to like write little messages?
Yeah, it was kind of like it was that and the little hearts that you got at Valentine's Day that said different things on them.
Do you think that came before or after Alphabet Soup?
Oh, who made Alphabet Soup?
So Alphabet Soup must have been first, and then he must have rode that wave, unless he originated it. And then Alphabet Soup seems so obvious that would come first, don't you think? But to my knowledge, Chef Boyardee did not make soup.
A quick Google search: Campbell's made tomato A to Z's.
Yeah, what year was it? Well, we don't know what the.
Well, no, this is still. Oh, wait, no. So this can of Campbell's A to Z's is $42. I wonder if it's I wonder if this is a
Andy Warhol.
No, no, no. It's a 12 pack of it's 12 of them. Okay. I was like, why would this be? I thought maybe it was like a collector's item. Like if you collect this stuff, do you just keep the food in it? Is it sort of like keeping
I
wine?
think that's the only way. Well, it's not like keeping wine that you can't eat it later. Although I'm guessing that there's probably a pretty good shelf life on this stuff. There's
Yeah, but not like 50 years.
well, I don't know. Preppers love this stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
It's part of their canned good equation.
Well, that's amazing. I never even really thought he was a real guy. I thought he was just this character that was made up to put on the labels, but to know that he was actually a real guy who started the company, who actually supported the war effort. I mean, there's a lot of interesting stuff going on here.
I think you said the same thing about Colonel Sanders.
Yeah.
You weren't sure if he was a real guy.
Yeah.
The thing that strikes me about Chef Boyardee is that it's an American 20th century story. That not only is it a story of immigration and spans the two world wars and the Great Depression, but when you think about serving rations and the idea of working women after World War II, a lot of the women went to work and didn't have time to cook big meals that they had been doing before. So quick preparation of food was a thing. Microwaves, when you think about microwave ovens that probably came, in the late 70s, early 80s, they repackaged their stuff, so it wasn't just coming from tin cans, but then you had microwavable
Yeah.
bowls that you could bring to work or put in your kids' lunch or whatever. The idea of licensing and
Oh, that's
uh,
huge.
having Pac-Man or something, having a kid buy something just because there's Pac-Man shapes in it, that's a uniquely American late 20th century thing. I mean,
Absolutely.
this guy was an American food icon. And, sometimes I wonder the people that we talk about, how long will people be talking about them? I think 200 years from now, there's probably still going to be Chef Boyardee
Yeah.
that people are going to be eating and not even thinking twice, and it's going to have his face on the cover. So,
Well, I mean, it's a perfect thing to take to Mars, right? It's pretty much it is almost like space food.
yeah. Now, originally, I don't know if you want to keep this part in, but originally, I was going to bring you some when we were supposed to meet up to do this.
You're going to
I
bring
was
me
going to
some Chef
bring,
Boyardee?
and we were going to share it together.
Oh,
I had a couple of little bowls in my laptop case. I had some bowls and a can
wow.
opener. We were going to share some ravioli together
Nice.
and see if
Wow.
it tastes like we remember it. So this would have been a perfect one to do together. Um, Even today, I was thinking of doing Postmates and having some delivered to your front door. I
Wow.
thought it
Well,
might cost me about $50.
right, right. Right. Well, I mean that is really true though, because I think for us, our generation, I'm going to guess that probably our children who are all teenagers, college age, they probably have heard the name but don't know it like we do. It isn't as I don't think brands like that. It's kind of an old brand, right? It's a brand that isn't quite as modern and as exciting as some of the newer things. Um, yeah, and so I don't know. I do agree with you that I think it'll be around for a long time, but I don't think it'll be quite as commonly known as we know because of when we grew up.
That's a good point. And when I think back, I remember him on commercials, the chef himself. I remember his face being a lot more prominent on the can. Now it's like a little thumbnail
Right.
that you can barely see. You're right. I don't think his name, it's just another brand. It's like Kraft or General Mills or something, that his name probably doesn't have that staying power that it once did. I hadn't thought about that, but I think you're right. I'm not sure his brand. I'm not sure they did any favors with him when the brand since 1985. It's just another one. We didn't even know the difference between Franco-American and Chef Boyardee until we
But
looked this up.
but
So,
I did remember that little jingle. Do you remember that, Frank? Go America. It was at the end of their commercials.
but we didn't remember a Chef Boyardee one. And I remember the cans that used to have Boyardee in big letters
Yeah.
with his mug, with his stupid face with the mustache, the little handlebar mustache, or I don't know if it was a handlebar or not, but with the big chef's hat. In fact, I remember being a kid, and when somebody would give you like a chef's hat, you'd call it a Chef Boyardee hat.
Right. We
Right? Am
didn't.
I wrong about that?
Yeah, he personified any professional chef in the kitchen.
Exactly. The
He
one
wasn't
with the
just a
big
cook.
poofy, it was the big poofy white hat.
Yeah.
You'd call it a Chef Boyardee hat, much like a top hat is an Abraham Lincoln hat.
So at the time, though, if you think about it, there weren't celebrity chefs like we have today, right? So he might have been one of the first celebrity chefs to exist.
Oh, he and Colonel Sanders both.
Yeah.
In fact, I actually looked up, did Chef Boyardee and Colonel Sanders ever meet? And I found this weird fan fiction video where they're like, it's like a cartoon where they do meet, and I don't know. I didn't really want to watch it.
It was
looked disturbing to me.
Fan fiction?
It looked like it, yeah.
Wow.
It looked like it might have been like anime or something. I don't know.
Do they fight
And
or do they meet under peaceful
I don't know.
circumstances?
Colonel Sanders looked real young in it. Like he was
Okay.
like a
I kind of would like to watch that. If it's not any longer than 5 minutes, I would watch it.
Well, I was sleepy when I found it, and didn't want to sully. I didn't want to confuse that with truth.
Yeah,
I'm all about looking for the truth here on Dirt Nap City.
that's right. We don't want to be considered fake news.
No, that's right. So I would encourage anybody with real information about any of the people we talk about to email us. We each have email addresses.
Yeah.
I'm Alex at dirtnapcity.com. Kelly's Kelly at dirtnapcity.com.
Have you
I do have an email I want to read. Yeah, I do. I have one from Alfred from Austin.
Oh, Alfred from Austin. What did he say?
He says, "Hey, you guys should do Bob Ross."
Yeah.
So here's my message, Alfred. We don't take requests. You get who you get. We have a certain, I'm not going to go as far as calling it an algorithm, but we have a way of
A scientific method.
Yeah, of selecting who you get.
A methodology.
I'm not saying we will or won't. Yeah, I'm not going to say we will or won't do Bob Ross, but and like I said before, we're going to do everybody eventually.
Yeah.
But where he falls in the algorithm,
including
I can't
you,
promise.
Alfred.
Yeah, exactly. If he's interesting.
I don't know. Could be. What about Schmitty from New Orleans, the hot dog salesman? He might be interesting.
Hard to research.
Yeah, we have some pictures.
And I don't want anyone out there thinking we're just doing Wikipedia on this. You know, I think that would be insulting to think that we don't go through hours and hours of research.
Well, we have a team. A research team.
Exactly. So like in the Eleanor Roosevelt episode, you may not know that Kelly spent 10 days at the FDR Presidential Library researching this stuff. I personally just got back from Pennsylvania where I was touring the factory.
Yeah. On your way back from Plymouth.
Yeah, I mean this stuff is a labor of love.
It's time commitment, folks.
It is. So I don't want anybody thinking this is just that anybody could do this, just a quick Wikipedia search or anything.
No, don't think that. Please don't think that.
And don't go to Wikipedia either.
If you hear a very interesting turn of phrase from us, don't try to match it on Wikipedia because that's probably not where it came from.
And it might be plagiarism.
I don't think it is if we say it versus if we wrote an article with the same thing, then that's plagiarism. But
if somebody was writing a term paper based on what we said and they quote us, that might be plagiarism twice removed.
Yeah, got to be careful. Yeah, just like FDR's cousin.
It all comes back around.
Yeah, you know what makes me most happy about this episode is I'm just glad to know that the people in Dirt Nap City are well fed.
They are. They have
between Colonel Sanders and Chef Boyardee, and all the other great chefs we've lost.
But 250,000 cans a day is still not going to cut it in Dirt Nap City.
Well, those folks aren't very hungry.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah. I mean, they don't need much.
It's not feeding for sustenance. It's feeding for pleasure.
Yes, absolutely. It's the nutrition. No nutrition required.
So it might be a ravioli a year.
Yeah. They do it on Dios de la Mora the Day of the Dead. When they have their ravioli.
I was really hoping that we could enjoy eating this together. I don't know. I was really hoping to bring you some forkables.
I appreciate that. Do you have some there with you?
I don't. I didn't. I never got to actually buy it.
No.
But next time I see you,
and
then we'll talk about
We'll get some KFC and some Boyardee.
Yeah. And some forkables, some things are forkable and you don't think they are forkable. And then something like Eleanor Roosevelt, for example.
Yeah, her mother didn't think she was very forkable. All right,
man. Well,
we've really devolved here.
Yeah. But I would have been kicking myself if I hadn't have said that.
Well, I think you're very forkable.
Thank you. You too. Now, so thank you everybody for listening to this episode on Ettore Boiardi. And as usual, Dirt Nap City, the show about interesting people that happen to be dead, will be brought to you every week. And next week, we hope to bring you somebody that's a little more interesting, a little more dead.
Yeah.
Less dead?
No, more dead. Honestly, Chef Boyardee was a pleasant surprise. I really kind of like these business icon people that from the food world. That's your niche.
And if we ever, I've thought about this. I don't know if you've thought about this. If we ever pick the same person on the same day, don't panic. We'll make it our 2-part episode.
Yeah. Part 1, part 2, or even like a death match. Like who wore it best?
So I was worried you'd say, Chef Boyardee, and then I'd have nothing. But we could absolutely make that a 2-part episode.
That is the upside of going first, I guess.
Yeah, but I'm all prepared to have, and one day it'll happen.
It will.
I mean, there's only so many dead people.
There's only interesting dead people. We're not including Alfred from Austin.
I figure we've only got like 50 more.
I do think that I need to create just a generic email that goes to both of us. Like, I think we can have our own, but it's kind of weird that they would that somebody, there's like a gnat flying around in here, that somebody would send you send you an email or send me one. So I'm going to create like a what would be a good name for it, like corpse at Dirt Nap City, or
I always thought it was going to be like questions or something. Corpse.
No, I was thinking something about a dead person.
Oh, geez.
Stiff at Dirt Nap City. Well, I'll come up with something.
If you have an idea, just email it.
Yeah.
To that address.
Just start randomly at Dirt Nap Cities until it gets to us.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody. Bye, Kelly.
Bye, Alex. Good to see you. Next time we'll have a little Boyardee and KFC together.
Bye.